Well, again, welcome everybody tonight, and we'll go ahead and get started here. So our first part of our seminar tonight is about construction lending, and we do have a couple of guests here tonight that are more into the subcontracting type area, and we're going to introduce them here in a little bit, and I'd like to thank them for coming tonight. That is Glenn and Jennifer Witters from Western Floors, and also Kevin Paris from Up the Creek Heating and Air. But we'll be introducing them again here in a little bit. A lot of times when we start out, I get calls or I'm introduced to you, the question is coming up is, what shall I do first, or where should I start? And so what I really suggest is that we talk about getting you pre-qualified, just like you would if you're going out to buy a home. So we take a look at all of your income, credit type information, so that you kind of know what direction you're going as far as what we could pre-qualify you for. One of the other things that comes up a lot is I tell people, and this is just a recommendation, but is to make a list of your needs versus what you want when you're out looking for new homes, because later on it will really help in your budgeting process. So if you're finding things that you need to cut back, you can really say, well, that's something that I really want, but maybe you can upgrade at a later date, versus something that may be, really a necessity as far as square footage or bedrooms or something of that nature. And, there's so much available out there on the internet as far as floor plans and even things that you see in, newsprint and that type of thing. But, become familiar with what you really like. You may want to even visit, different already built homes and get an idea of what you want in a floor plan. And again, things that fit your needs, because this is going to be custom to what you want. Another thing that's really helpful is to determine what area you want to build in, if it's, within the city limits or rural or, whatever area that is going to be your preference as far as building. Because that would help as far as in the budgeting process, because the land cost is part of what we look at. And it may be that as we go into the seminar, it may be something that you want to look at is just starting out and buying land. One of the things that you do need to consider, and we will talk about in a little more detail, is that if you are buying land in a rural area, there is a little more cost involved as far as developing that, if it needs to have a road put in or power brought in, that type of thing. The other thing is that you may want to get recommendations from people in the area as far as who that you want to choose as a builder, and look at what they're building, kind of get an idea that way, so that as again you're kind of narrowing down what you want. It's really important to make that decision on the builder. When we look at pre-qualifying, we really look at it the same way as if you're coming in to pre-qualify just to buy a house. So we're looking at a lot of the same type of information. The only thing is that we will qualify you at a little bit higher rate, because it being construction, we're wanting to be conservative in what we're looking at, so that we know that we're qualifying you and know that you're qualified once that home is done, that you have qualified at that level. We take a look at your income just as we do on any standard pre-qualification. We look at your credit and also the funds necessary for down payment. One thing that we can look at as far as equity when you're looking at building a new home, if you had already bought land or had been gifted land, or you're in the process of buying land, we can look at that and determine an equity into the project. one thing that is determined when we look at this is that, let's say that you just bought land back in September of last year. What we look at for that is we can give you equity based on the difference between what you owe and what it's worth. But if you purchase the land in less than 12 months ago, we're going to look at the lesser of what you paid for it, the purchase price. That is the purchase price or the appraised value. So we're going to look at the lesser of those two. If you bought the land more than a year ago, then we're just simply going to look at what it appraises for when we have your entire construction project appraised. When we look at down payment in new construction, we're looking at, I do equate it back to as if you're just buying a house. So let's say that you were buying a house for $200,000, then that is the purchase price, and we would determine your down payment based on the lesser of the purchase price or the appraised value, whichever is less. So in new construction, it's a little different because we're going to look at what your builder costs are and your land cost, and we're going to we call that the total of that the cost of acquisition, and we're going to look at the lesser of the cost of acquisition or your appraised value to determine where you're at as far as how we determine down payment. We have different down payment requirements, and we will go into that a little later, but it depends on if you're doing just a one-time closed stick-built home, or if you're just simply buying land, or if you're looking at building a shop with living quarters. There are different down payment requirements. When we look at credit, and again, it's the same way, we look at credit the same way as we do as if you're buying a home. We look at the three different credit repositories. That's Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And so if we have two borrowers applying, we would look at the lower mid score of the lower borrower mid score of the three credit repositories. Income is looked at the same way. So we're going to, if you are a wage earner, we're going to be looking at your pay stub and your W-2. If you're self-employed, we're looking at federal income tax returns. So it's the same way as if, again, you're buying a house. And again, I touched on this a minute ago, but when we pre-qualify you, we are looking at qualifying you on the current construction rate rather than the current market rate. And that's just our way of, we have to be able to look at that in case there is a rate increase from the time you start building until your home is done. We can look at your land if you want to purchase land, and we have a land loan available. We'll go into the details of that in a minute, but you could currently own land as part of going into an entire construction project, or you can buy the land as part of the financing package. So either way is fine. If you're buying the land and then you're getting the bid from a builder to build your home, we would need a copy of the purchase and sale agreement on the land you're buying. One thing that in any of our new construction you would need to keep in mind, and this will come up again, but we do need to have the water on the property if it's rural property. So if you're looking at buying just land, you would need to, the well would have to be on the property. If you're looking at buying land and building, the well again would have to be there. You can look at, and there are cases where there are shared wells, and that's fine, and that is acceptable. There would just have to be a recorded agreement for that between the parties that it involves. And that recorded agreement must be what we call perpetual for the land ownership, which means that it would transfer with if you sold the property at a later date, it would transfer with that sale. We don't require that the power is on the land, but it is something that you really should be considering as far as what that cost might be. You probably would want to, if it's quite a ways away to bring the power in, you probably would want to talk to whoever that company is going to, so if it's like Clearwater Power or Avista, whatever it is, what that's going to cost to bring it in, because that is going to affect what you're going to need in order to put this all together. When you're looking at a builder, and I'll go into this a little bit later as well, but we ask that you're probably getting recommendations from friends or coworkers or something of that nature about builders. But we also at college take a look at builders, and where we're primarily dealing in Idaho and Washington. In Idaho, a builder would need to be a registered builder, and in Washington they are licensed. So we do require that they're one of the two. And they submit a resume if we have not worked with them in the past, and we take a look at their subcontractors who they pay to and their suppliers who they pay to, and also some of the homeowners that they built for in the past. So we are looking at their references. If we've already worked with a builder, and once you're already talking to somebody, I can tell you if we have worked with them, we would be updating their file to make sure they're currently registered with the state, which that would mean that their current insurances are in place. So for workman's comp and liability type insurance. But it's all out there on the state websites showing whether or not they're current. And we really do ask, because we can tell you whether or not a builder has been approved by the credit union, but we really would want you to have done your own due diligence in the builder selection, so that when you're talking to whoever has referred them to you, what their experience has been. And this is just a side note, really, in that trying to decide on a builder, you should at least have it narrowed down who you decide you want to work with, so that when you get into the actual bid process, that they may need to be aware that you're looking at bids, but if you've narrowed it down, so that they're not spending a lot of time on cost estimates if you're really not going to go forward. I know that's kind of come up before. We have several construction programs available, and it just depends on what your needs are, but we have a one-time close new construction program, and we will be going through those in detail. We have a manufactured home land package. As I said before, we do have land loans available. We have a shop with living quarters. That's something that we do get quite a bit of interest in. We also have just a shop-only new construction. And then we have, if you're looking at either buying a home that, let's say, needs a lot of renovation or you want to add on to, we have that type of loan available. And then if you currently own a home and you're wanting to remodel or add on, it would be the same type of loan. It's really a two-loan scenario, and we'll cover that here. So this program, again, is it's there to allow you to buy, if you want to buy a home, existing home, and you're wanting to add on to it, remodel. We would put together a construction loan so you can buy the home. We take a look at your costs for what you're planning on doing, and we would have your project appraised based on the proposal. For the long-term loan, of this type of loan, we can go up to 30 years. It's going to be a two-loan scenario. It's going to be a construction loan, which we can go up to 12 months, and then the long-term loan, again, a maximum of 30 years. The minimum equity on the long-term second loan, long-term loan is 5%. And it's single family as your primary residence. And again, it does consist of two loans. It would be initially that 12-month construction loan, and then your takeout loan, the long-term loan. If you're doing then a remodel of your existing home, that second loan would be a refinance and take it out again based up to that 95% because we're paying off essentially a construction loan. Any questions so far? I'd like to bring up Jen from Western Floors. Western Floors would be somebody that you may want to consider either in your new home, new construction, or possible remodel, and they are a local business here in the Valley, and we wanted to bring them in to kind of talk about what they do and possibly, products or innovations. So, Jen?
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
I don't like mics. I'm Jennifer Witters with Western Floors. My husband here, Glenn Witters, he's with Western Floors as well. We've been family owned and operated since 1978. We're located out in North Lewiston on 20th Street North. We like to think that we have one of the largest showrooms in the Valley, offering a large selection of tile, carpet, vinyl, linoleum, hardwood, and laminate flooring, and one of the newest products out, LVT, which is luxury vinyl tile, or LVP, luxury vinyl plank flooring. We just don't have just flooring. Losing track, sorry. We also offer laminate countertops. We can work with you on choosing granite and quartz countertops. We can help you choose that perfect backsplash to go along with your new countertops. When choosing floor covering for either a new construction, remodel, makeover of any size can be a little overwhelming, and we like to work with you one-on-one. Come into the showroom. We'll help you choose what's best to fit your lifestyle, your needs, your budget, all the way from helping with design, colors, and we do have installation as well. When you do come visit our showroom, you'll find that we have a large variety of tile for flooring, walls, showers, backsplashes, even outdoor patios. We have that perfect tile that can enhance your style, your style of living, ranging from any kind of temporary style, a modern style, classic style, rustic, or even retro style, which is we're seeing a lot of right now. We're also seeing a lot of the concrete style, the grays that are really popular right now. Another one, if you're considering adding warmth and beauty to your home, hardwood flooring may be an option. Engineered and solid wood flooring are both made of 100% wood, but there are significant differences in their overall construction. Engineered hardwood floors behave a little differently than solid plank wood floors. Engineered floors tend to be a little bit easier to install, and you might find they might be a little less expensive than your solid hardwood floors. However, not all wood floors behave are created equal. It depends on the style or the species of the wood the flooring is made from that will help determine what performance qualities it may have. Also, your lifestyle has a lot to do with it, kids, pets, and how you live. Solid wood floors can be prone to shrinking or expanding based on the humidity levels that we find here in the area. As your engineered floors, they seem to be more resistant to moisture and offer a bit more stability than solid wood floors. Carpet, that's another really popular item. Today, the two most popular items or fibers for carpet is a polyester and the nylon. When it comes to stain resistant, polyester kind of comes out a little bit ahead of nylon. just because polyester is more of a hydrophobic fiber. Doesn't, once you spill something on it, it doesn't soak in as much as you would find with the nylon fibers. However, though, all the carpets you find on the market today are treated with some type of stain protection. Something else that's new on the market I talked about earlier is the LVT and the LVP, luxury vinyl tiles, luxury vinyl floorings. It's really amazing what they can do with technology today. With the printing and photographic technologies, your vinyl tile or vinyl plank can really mimic that real stone look or that real wood look. And you'll find with most of them it's a lot less expensive for the product and installation. There's so much to do in the floor covering business. Showers, with the tile, with your flooring, your carpet needs. It's really nice to have you come into our showroom so we can meet with you one-on-one. I have another gal that works with us, Lisa. We are more than happy to come to your home and help you, meet with you at the store. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We also offer appointments on the weekends and evenings late after hours. We do free estimates. I'm nervous, can you tell? We do free estimates. We service the outlying areas as well as here in the valley. We've done work in McCall, all the way in McCall, Idaho, up north, even in Pullman, Moscow. Colfax. It's pretty much any direction. Thanks for being patient with me. My heart's beating. I don't know. Is there any questions out there that I can try and answer? Good. Left some business cards with Brent. We would love to meet with you one-on-one, work with you all the way from the beginning to the end, and help you out where you need it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Really appreciate it. It's nice to hear that you're, also operating in some of the outlying areas. So we also have Kevin Harris here from Up the Creek Heating and Air, and Kevin is actually from the Orofino area, but I'll let him come up and kind of talk about his business. And thanks, Kevin.
All right, I'm Kevin with Up the Creek Heating and Air. Live in Orofino, Idaho. We do work in the Lewiston Clarkston Valley. We do work in Washington, everything up river towards Kamiah, Grangeville, all those other places like that. Been in business for 13 years now. Got several service guys that live down here in the valley. Installer lives down here in the valley. So we can cover the whole area very well. We sell primarily American Standard is our name brand equipment that we sell. It is a Ingersoll Rand product. It's made out of Fort Tyler, Texas. We also sell Mitsubishi ductless heat pump systems. They're becoming more and more popular nowadays. We do those. We do geothermal systems, variable speed systems, all sorts of different things that if you guys are looking to buy a new home, you have many decisions to make on what you want to put in your new home. Generally what we'll do is we'll come out, we'll give you an estimate. I like to give everybody 3 options. We'll give them the base option, the base efficiency with our base equipment. We like to try to give you a middle-of-the-road efficiency too, so you can kind of see if you spend a little bit more money, you get a little better efficiency. It's going to help your bills for however long you own the home. And then we always give you a high-end efficiency system too that we put on the bid. The price difference generally between the base efficiency and the high-end efficiency system is usually substantially more. But you kind of look at it like it's almost like insulation or anything else. you pay a little more now for the better insulation or the better equipment, it saves you money down the road in the long run, plus it saves you money every month. So I always try to push high efficiency. Understand budget's a budget. A lot of times it's out of people's budget. That's understandable, but we always try to lean people towards a little bit higher efficiency if at all possible, so that way they can, it just makes a better product for their home, especially if it's a new home, new construction. Granted, they're all being built with higher standards now than what they used to be. Everybody's got the codes they have to follow. Washington, you have to have R50 value in the ceiling, I believe. Idaho hasn't quite adopted any of that stuff yet, but with the homes becoming more and more energy efficient and the building codes becoming stricter, it's a good idea to try to focus your attention to the heating and cooling system, because you're spending money every single month to heat and cool your house. Now, how efficiently you do that is going to be up to you and what you choose. So that's always a good thing to think about. As far as like new technologies and stuff like that that are out there, there's variable speed systems which automatically will modulate, I guess, heating and cooling for your home depending on what your home needs. There's the geothermal systems that are out there now where they use the ground to absorb the heat or the cool out of the refrigerant, so that way it's a lot cheaper way to heat and cool your home. Government actually offers a pretty nice tax rebate on stuff like that, but the thing is with geothermal systems is you have to have a substantial amount of land in order to be able to put one in. You just can't put one in on a lot, for instance, because you just don't have the property to do it. There's also the ductless systems like I talked about earlier. Ductless systems are super, super popular nowadays. Super high efficiency. Cost on them is fairly reasonable for the most part, depending on how many rooms in your home you want to do. They're also offering the ductless system technology with an actual, like a furnace, like what we would normally put in a home. So you can attach it to ductwork, run the ductwork throughout your house just like everything that normally you would always do with a new home, but you would have that ductless technology on the outdoor unit, so you're getting those high efficiencies in the home. That's also another option that's out there now. As far as like Brent was talking about earlier, he's talking about checking references on your contractor that's going to possibly build your home or do your remodel or do anything like that. Same thing's true with the subcontractors. Look them up. Ask people about them. They're just as important as that contractor, because if you have something go wrong with your system, whether it be plumbing or electrical or anything like that down the road, you're going to call your contractor and complain to him about it, and the first thing he's going to do is going to call his subcontractor and complain to them about it. So do your research on all that stuff. Be involved if you're building a new home. Be involved in the whole step all the way through. Do the research ahead of time so you can pick the correct, the right contractor whenever you go do your job. Cheaper is not always better as far as contractors go. Just check the references, ask them for a portfolio. A lot of the contractors like that in Orfino where I live. They all have portfolios. They give it to their customer. They can call any of those people that are in there that they built homes for, call them directly, ask them what they think about their work. And the same thing's true with like all the subcontractors too. So, is there any questions?
Yeah, how much land is ideal for a geothermal setup?
You probably should have at least an acre, maybe a little bit more. And then you need to be prepared to be able to dig a lot of that land up, because you need to dig ditches roughly 6 foot deep, 200, 300, 400 feet long, depending on, the size of the system. So you got to have the ability to be able to do that. Farmhouses out in the country, hay fields, all those different places like that, pretty optimal for stuff like that. You don't really see any place around here that you can really do that, because there's just not that much land available here, because everything's pretty stacked on top of each other. Once you get out in rural areas, that's always a possibility if that's something that you want to look at.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be level.
No, it doesn't. Preferably, free of rocks as much as possible, because you are having to excavate all that stuff out, and the more time that's on the machine, the more time you have to spend, as far as money spent to dig the holes and dig the ditches. But It doesn't have to be flat, it can be kind of rolling or up a hill even, or whatever it is. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. The geothermal stuff is really cool. The new variable speed stuff that's out now too is beginning to nip at the heels of geothermal as far as the efficiency ratings. And you don't have the excavation to deal with on top of that. So they're becoming more and more, people are starting to look at them a lot more just because the efficiencies are pretty darn close. Anything else?
So in a typical home, like how do you determine how many of the ductless units you actually need? Does every room need one? Or?
It depends on what comfort level you want. If you got a 5-bedroom home and it's just you and your wife and you spend most of your time in the living room and then master bedroom, we would probably just recommend one for those 2 areas and one outdoor unit to run. If you still had 5 kids at home and you wanted all 5 bedrooms to be the same temperature and plus the main living space, then you probably want to look at a multiple head system or multiple systems to accommodate all of them. A lot of it just depends on your comfort. What are you looking for?
What does the outdoor unit do?
It heats and cools. It's just like a heat pump if you're familiar with those, but it's a super, super high efficiency heat pump. Anything else? All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Before Kevin came in, he said he'd never done public speaking before, but I don't really believe him. I think he did a good job. But thank you both, Kevin and Jen, for coming today. Really appreciate it. We'll just kind of continue on some of our programs that we have available here, and I want to talk about land loans. And this is really kind of the beginning stage. A lot of times people are locating land and want to be able to secure that before they go forward. And we certainly do have this program available. And what it consists of is it's a fully amortizing 15-year loan. And it does require 25% down. It really should be either an improved lot within the city limits with utilities. We certainly will do rural land, but it does have to be developed at least to the point that it has water available. And that can be, we talked about that a little bit, in that it could be a well or it could be a shared well if that's what it is. The land loan does fall under really the umbrella of new construction, so really our purpose in providing the land loan is for somebody looking at building within the near future. The current rate on the land loan right now is at, today is at 5%. We do have what we call an all-in-one construction, which is really an awesome program, is that it's different than the traditional two-step construction where you would have a construction loan, and then once that's done, a long-term loan for your long-term financing. So we would close once prior to any construction beginning. It would then provide up to a 12-month construction for your contractor to build. And then once your home is fully completed, it would modify to a long-term loan. We can go up to a 30-year loan on the long-term loan, plus it would have, again, the 12-month construction period. It would require 5% down, plus your closing costs. When we talk about some restrictions may apply, it would depend if something within the appraisal report, we weren't able to get good comparable sales, it might change that somewhat. It's for single family as your primary residence. And again, it should be, if you've already purchased land or you're going to buy the land as part of the construction package, it would need to be, should have city utilities, or if it's rural, it would have to have the water available. And I already stated this, but it would have to we would provide up to a 12-month period for your contractor to complete the project. At the end of that time, we would need to get the local building authority what they call certificate of occupancy, which means that all the building code had been satisfied. And then we order from the original appraiser, we order a final inspection. They're not reappraising it at that time. They're just signing off that it was built per original plan. We then update your loan for income and credit and would be looking at modifying it to a long-term loan.
Can we interrupt, ask questions?
Absolutely, yeah.
So what are some of the scenarios where an all-in-one would make more sense versus, the traditional way of financing?
The question was, at what point would it make sense to do the all-in-one versus a two-step? Well, if you're hiring a contractor to build your home, and it's a stick-built type home, it's the best program you can use, because otherwise you're paying two sets of closing costs. And there are some costs within the two sets of closing costs that, such as the appraisal, that would be used for either loan, but you still are paying more by doing a two-step construction versus a one-step. So it really makes sense to use that. If it fits within the category of a stick-built home, you're hiring a contractor to build your home, and so.
Yeah, so the other option would potentially give you more time to construct what you're building, or?
Well, we do offer, and we'll go into it, we do offer a program whereas you can select all of your, you can get all your bids to and manage essentially your project. We don't have a self-build type program, but you can get all your bids to manage that during the construction phase, and that does go into a two-closing type scenario. So that's an option to our members that we do offer.
Rather than using a general contractor.
Rather than using a general contractor.
So that would be the main difference.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes.
Is there any way to lock the final loan in up front?
In a way it is, because the rate that we offer for the new construction it's a fixed rate and you're guaranteed that rate. So if for some reason rates went up during the construction phase, you are guaranteed that. It's never going to go above that. So to go back and answer your question, as far as locking a rate, initially we don't really have a way to know, one, what the market rate's going to be when your home is done, and we don't have a way to lock it from the beginning on any type of long-term lock that if it were lower than the construction rate. So.
But with the all-in-one construction, you are locked in?
Well, the construction rate is guaranteed. So if you, let's say, as an example, today you were closing on a one-time close, that we'll say the rate is 5.25 on that rate. It would be 5.25% during the construction. You would be billed interest during that 12-month period for the construction interest. And let's say that during that 12-month period, market rates on a 30-year loan gradually crept up, and they're now at 5.5. You're guaranteed then at 5.25. We're not going to adjust that rate at the time it goes to the long-term loan. So you are essentially locked. But let's say, well, I'll look at the other scenario. If you're done with your home and market rates, you closed at a construction rate of 5.25, but market rates and you're done with your home are at 4.5, we're able to modify your rate at no cost to 4.5% for that. So.
Okay, one other question.
Sure.
So during the construction period, you would be probably you just pay interest only?
The question had to do with, do you pay interest only during construction? And yes, you do. It's just based on how much you use each month. So it's not going to be a lot in the beginning. It's tiered and will gradually increase as your builder then uses the construction funds. So we would bill you each month for whatever outstanding balance there is times that interest rate. So again, it's not going to be a lot in the beginning, but it will gradually ramp up and as you use the funds, you'll be at your highest level in the last, probably couple of months.
But during the time it's interest only that you pay, or do you?
Correct. Interest only. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. So, like, if today's rate is 4.25% for a regular mortgage, the construction interest rate is higher, maybe like 1% higher. But in a way, it does guarantee that you're not going to get an 8% loan if rates go crazy.
Correct.
So that's a pretty good deal.
On that program.
And it could be lower if rates don't change.
Correct. That's on the one-time close,
right,
because it closes before construction begins, and we are guaranteeing that rate. Yes.
I wasn't sure if you're going to go into this later or details about how contractors get paid. Is that something you're going to cover all?
Yes.
Okay.
You bet. We do offer also a manufactured home land package, and it does provide, you can purchase your land and set up a new minimum double-wide manufactured home. This program does consist of 2 loans. It would be a construction loan initially to get everything set up, but then once that's completed, we would refinance that construction loan into the long-term loan. We can go up to 30 years on that program. Minimum down is 5%. And that is for single-family primary residence. And the same type of thing. This is going to be consistent throughout any of our construction loans as far as the land is concerned and having water available. Our Shop with Living Quarters program, and I have underlined there, shop only. This is a one-time close, so it would fall back the same as the all-in-one. So it would be initially closed prior to construction beginning, allow your contractor up to 12 months to get it built, and then it would modify to its long-term loan at the end. We can go up to 20 years on this program, and again, that's just a shop or a shop with the living quarters. Now, this is based on, when I say shop only, that means that there's nothing else on the property. You're looking at purchasing land and building a shop, and then maybe building a house later on. So it does require a 20% down payment. On the shop, that's based on a single family as primary residence. And again, same type of thing is required for land, as far as it does have to have the water. And that does apply also to shop only, because it's going to follow the same category as a land loan. And we need to know that your shop with living quarters is going to meet local building authority approval for occupancy.
What's the interest rate right now on this? Is it the same as a regular mortgage?
All of our construction rates, it would be currently at 5.25%, no matter what you're looking at doing. Land loan. Pardon me?
And closing costs?
Yeah, there would be closing costs on any of those. Yes. I just kind of want to go into some of the construction requirements, and we do have a form that we do have you review and sign at the time of the application. But if you're building a large project, this statement that I just brought up is referring to if you're only borrowing $200,000 on a $350,000 project, we still require that you bring your funds into the to the credit union to deposits to look at getting the entire project completed. We typically would put that in like your savings account with a hold on it. Those funds would be used first before the loan funds. So we do require all funds available to complete the project. We've touched on this before, and just looking at your builder and your subcontractors, that type of thing, completing your own due diligence, talking to people regarding that. During the construction process, if you change your mind on something and have increased cost on anything, everything that we do is based on a fixed bid type scenario, so you would need to pay that either out of pocket. We typically ask that you do set up what we call a contingency category, so that there is some money available if you do, let's say you upgraded a floor covering, or you upgraded appliances or something of that nature, or you just had a cost that you weren't thinking of or the builder didn't think of, that you've got something to kind of fall back on.
Excuse me. Is that a set amount?
We look at it on a case-by-case basis, and it's not, I mean, it depends on the financial statement and your financial statement. It also depends on, what you're looking at for down payment and that kind of thing, but typically not going over 5% of the project cost. We do ask that any of the work being completed on your project is done professionally, and we do not have a self-build type program. We touched on this a minute ago, but we can look at then if you're wanting to manage your project, we would require that you bring in bids for that project, and then we just match that to your costs that you've established. During construction, you would be required to pay all of your property taxes and any insurance. We don't have really any type of reserve account to pay that. We would require, a lot of times building permits part of the overall cost. We would just need to get a copy of that once it's paid, but we are looking for your insurance, who you're going to use for that at the time of closing, and we're going to include that cost as part of your closing costs. Once you get things such as, again, the building permit or your septic system permit, we're wanting to get copies of those things into the file. As far as draws are concerned, on construction loans, we either have an inspector go out, or one of our mortgage or construction officers go out once a month, right at the first of the month, to take a look at the progress. And then we're wanting to be ready for then the contractor or you asking for a draw on that construction loan. So we base everything on what is completed up through that date. So it's based on a percentage of what's done. And then when that is inspected, and you bring your draw forward, we reconcile that draw back to the inspection. We can look at more than one draw a month. We do have some flexibility on that. It just kind of depends. I mean, you may have a case where you need to pay like a down payment on carpet or for cabinets or something of that nature, and we certainly can do that. We just need a copy of the invoice. We do pay the funds directly to our members so that they can pay the contractor or subcontractors. We do go through a process that is fairly detailed. From the contractor, we ask for lien waivers after they've been paid from each of the subcontractors. We then once we receive all those lien waivers, we get what we call an endorsement from the title company to ensure that there have not been any mechanic liens filed up through that date. And we do that on a per draw basis. So the first draw, once the contractor is drawn, we go ahead and do that draw, but before we'll do the second draw, we need those lien waivers, which should total what that first draw was back. So we already talked about this a bit, but we do bill you each month for the construction interest. When we go on a one-time close, you just need to be prepared that at the end of the month, we're going to be looking at modifying to the long-term loan, and we're going to need any interest due on that loan once we're looking at modifying it to long-term. This is an example of a cost breakdown form. We use this form for multiple purposes. For the costs are obtained from the builder. And you can see here in the left-hand column, it breaks down. This is just kind of a short version of our cost breakdown. It breaks it down by category, but also follows fairly close to progression of new construction. So what we look at then, we also use this form for going out to inspect the progress. So we may, first time we go out, foundation may be done, so we'll take a look at that and write down a subjective number as far as determining how far along you are on the foundation. Maybe part of the framing's done, same kind of thing. And then this form is also used for when your builder or you're requesting a draw. And this first column at the top where it's highlighted in yellow, that would be your first draw. And it would just then be, if you're, in this case where it's saying footings and foundation, $8,000, and it's fully done, then you would be putting in, and you're wanting $8,000, then you would put your $8,000 in there. Maybe half of the framing is done, so you're asking for $7,500. So that this is a column that you would, this is a column that you'd be using for that. The other thing that is nice with this form, we do have it in an Excel format. If anybody wants a copy of it, we can share that with you. But that yellow, the column over here to the far right does keep track as draws are completed of what's remaining in each category. And then it totals what's left in the construction fund at the very bottom in the orange. And that orange number there tracks back to your online banking, shows you that, it's balanced to that online banking construction account.
Those are numbers that are just thrown in there that are based on any particular.
Correct. Yeah. And this is just an example. I kind of covered this a minute ago, but this would be showing an example of a draw that's then totaled, and then you can see then, as an example, footings and foundation ask for $4,000, and that's an $8,000 cost estimate, so it leaves $4,000 remaining. And the same on framing, it was $15,000 cost, you took $5,000, $10,000 remaining. So it totals it. This draw request would, typically comes from your contractor. They would sign it, you would sign it as borrower, and then submit it to our construction lending so we can then process your draw request.
But again, this is based on the inspection timeline, right? I mean,
yeah, we're gonna try to get out there before any draws are coming forward so that we're prepared when those draws. Usually, most of the draws come forward before the 10th of the month. Sometimes they get drug out longer than that, but we're usually we're trying to be out there so we're prepared for you when you're coming forward with the draw. I just wanted to kind of touch on, once we get everything from you, to order an appraisal, which would mean the costs and the from the builder description materials, the plans. If you're buying land, a purchase and sale agreement, you're looking at about 30 to 45 days to get it closed. We're gonna get it closed as quickly as we can, but we just want to give you some kind of time frame on that. A lot of times it takes a while to get all this put together, so I just want to make sure you're aware of that. So because it does take a while trying to gather information, and your file maybe it started out as a pre-qualification, we may be updating documentation in your file, and we may be asking you for that update. We, for the most part, ask that construction groundbreaking not begin prior to closing, and the reason for that is that if that does happen, let's say your builder starts on land that you had already owned, we would need then construction to stop at some point, and then your builder would have to go into the title company to get with them and file any lien waivers with them so that they're satisfied that there would not be any mechanic liens coming forward for unpaid bills. So I'm not saying that that cannot happen. We've done it in various stages, but it makes it cleaner if you can prevent that from happening. But if it does, then it will require that bit of work with the title company to make sure that those lien waivers are filed.
Another question, are there any specific plan guidelines, or, as far as what do you like to see? I mean, can they just be plans drawn up by the homeowner, or does it have to,
So the question was, as far as specific guideline on plans, well, what we need to see is a legible sketch of the floor plan with measurements and that type of thing. It would be whatever you're going to be able to turn in to get a building permit. It's going to be the same kind of requirement. So. One thing is that we ask that your home is, that 12-month period for construction typically doesn't go that long. Usually we're looking at things getting done in 8, 9, maybe 10 months, and then we're looking at modifying it or refinancing it to its long-term loan. But if you do go that long, we're trying to get everything done 30 days prior to the first scheduled payment according to the documents. And we're asking for, again, that occupancy certificate from the building authority and the final inspection from the appraiser. The appraiser, again, is not reappraising it. So let's say it took you 10 months. They appraised your project initially, but then they're coming back out when your home is fully done and they're signing off. It was built per original plan. And let's say that, you're trying to go forward and get everything done, but let's say you have trim work incomplete, or, the plan called for, let's say that there was a part of the basement that was going to be completed. You would want to have all that done before we're sending the appraiser back out there, because if it isn't done, we're going to have to send it back out. And again, we'll be updating all your income and credit information, either for the modification of the long-term loan or to that second loan, if it's a 2-loan scenario. So I say let's get started, but I want to keep some time here open for some questions and things that maybe I went too quickly on. So I'm going to open it up to that, and maybe some more food, I don't know.
What are your typical closing costs?
The question was, what are your typical closing costs? And that it's going to depend on, your loan size, because we charge, loan origination fees, and it depends on which kind of loan that you're looking at taking out. Some of your costs are going to be constant, whether it's a $100,000 loan or it's a $300,000 loan, such as like an appraisal cost or your reinspection fee from the appraiser. We have construction inspection fees that we charge because we're either sending an appraiser out to do those progress inspections, or we're sending a representative from the credit union. So what we're typically looking at right now, what we quote for an appraisal cost is about $700. We're only going to charge you what they charge us. Most of them are coming in somewhere between $475 to probably $600. But we do have some, because there may be mileage involved, and we're going ahead and quoting $700, but only charging you what it actually is. Again, so that's going to show as a constant charge. The reinspection by the appraiser we always show is $250. The construction inspection costs are, we charge $600 on that. Other than that, it's then based on loan size for like title insurance, your closing fee, and it depends on what you're doing as far as what type of construction. So, but if you are wanting to get and you have something in mind, I'd be happy to give you that information on it in detail. Yes.
The $600 fee you just mentioned for the inspections, that's per inspection or for all the?
No, total.
Total.
Yes,
Okay.
for the entire project. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's part of the closing costs that they're quoted. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody if you have something that you're looking at that you have in mind, then just let myself or Karen Holland is in the back of the room here tonight, and she can get you that information. So. Any other questions? Yes.
So I guess you don't do loans on just land? Is that right, or you do?
Well, we do, but it would have to be improved to the point at least had water on it. Mm-hmm. So it would have to be, the well would have to be in, or if it's an improved spring, then it would have to meet health authority approval for that.
Yeah.
So, or a shared well is fine. Yeah. But that's what we.
With the intentions of building on it.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Not 28.
It would have to be with the intention of.
Yeah, it falls under our construction lending type umbrella is what that's what it's.
But, I mean, do you have just strictly a land loan program with the credit?
The only other one would be like an agricultural, like farmland.
I see.
But not rec land.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you have like a lot inside the city limits, does it, and you're doing the all-in-one type deal,
Mm-hmm.
do you cover all the costs like for surveying, an architect, closing cost, building permit fees, connection fees, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we can put all that into the full, cost to construct. The second part of that would be it would have to, appraise out based on your total costs, which would include your land costs. So you bet. Mm-hmm. One thing that I did want to mention, and I do bring up to our members, and it just kind of in the beginning stages, is that at least in the valley, there's quite a high land cost, and it's hard to find land in some cases. So that is one thing why we talk about the kind of the renovation program, in that you're going to find, maybe you find a house that may not currently meet your needs, but potentially could through either your own ideas or somebody else, another designer. And with that, you're probably going to be able to put some of that together with less, because you've got an existing property. It's going to, the land cost is probably going to be less in looking at that existing property, depending upon the property itself. But it might be a consideration when you're looking at doing something as far as trying to put together a project. It might be an option, and we have had that come up just because as an example, if you're paying out $50,000, $60,000, $75,000 for your land, it starts limiting what you can put into the project, the entire project. So
So something with an older home.
right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes.
Yeah, you know, all the different types of construction, your construction programs here. You got your shop and living quarters and your shop only construction. If you're going to buy land, new construction home, and a shop, would that be included in your all-in-one construction home?
You mean?
Or would you have to get multiple loans?
Okay, so make sure I got the question. So you're wanting, the question is including a shop with your home as part of the all-in-one, and yes, absolutely, you can include that. And again, it just comes down to, as long as it's meeting the appraised value in your total costs. But we've done those, so I mean, we have done several of them. Yes.
Would it fall under different qualifications or requirements for a duplex? You want to build a duplex and live in one?
Yeah, we probably get an exception in policy to do an owner-occupied duplex under the one-time close. Right now, our policy is stated as single family, but I just recently had that question come up and was discussing it with our underwriting, and so I would say that's possible. I would just have to get an exception on it. So.
I have a general question concerning contractors. That you said you have a list of contractors that that you've used for these programs before. Now, what about new contractors, ones that don't necessarily have a large resume or are newer to the trade, or how would a younger contractor get on, a list of maybe somebody?
Well, yeah, if they're like, as an example, an Idaho contractor and they're registered with the state, then that means to me that they have their insurances in place. That's the first step. We would look at their references and who they've used, and I probably would suggest if they've been working with somebody else that we get then more information than just our standard resume. We'd have to take a look at it, see if it's something we could get put together. Mm-hmm. But we would need to understand, what they've done. And
sure. Yeah. Is it common for customers or clients to use contractors off of the list that you have available here with the credit union? Or?
It's there's a finite amount of, at least in I'm just talking the Valley, and we can go outside, but we don't publish a list. So I mean, it's if you're talking to John Smith, contractor, and you give me a call and ask me, I mean, is this somebody that you have worked with before? I'm happy to tell you absolutely. I mean, in there, we have an updated file, and last time we looked at it, everything was good to go, or whatever. But we don't really publish the list because it's just from a liability standpoint.
Okay. But it is a list that you would potentially show to somebody that didn't necessarily have somebody in mind, or they were looking for
No, we don't publish the list.
Okay, so it wouldn't even be something that you don't recommend.
No. I can just tell you that they have met our criteria for a builder. I mean, if it's somebody that you've already talked to and that type of thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
If I owned land and I wanted to partner with a builder to build a spec home, would this program work, or do you have to go elsewhere, like a commercial bank? Or
we do have speculative type building. I didn't really go over that tonight because this was mainly like residential borrowers type of thing. But we do have that available, and I'd be happy to discuss that with you. So, yeah. Any other questions? I think we're right on time for where we needed to be tonight. We have a second first-time homebuyer seminar starting at 7 o'clock. So guys are welcome to stay, listen to that as well, and there's more food back there. Again, there's some giveaways, some coffee mugs and different things back here along the wall. You're welcome to take any of that. So appreciate everybody coming tonight. And you should have my card and Karen's card in your packet. And please give us a call or email, and we can try to help you any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.